awesome. Unfortunately, she's gone. I believe Daphne Kinney, if I'm remembering this correctly. I apologize for not. She did great as a character, and the fighting was amazing. She really held her own, and that was another thing I loved about the fighting in this, dude. It was so aggressive, you know? Like, this actually felt like two lightsaber users going for kill shots. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, I feel like we've seen a lot of sword, you know, like, not sword fighting, but, you know, we've seen a lot in Star Wars where it looks like sword fighting. Where it's very, we touch, we touch, we touch, we touch, we touch, we poke, we touch, we touch, we touch, we touch, we poke. Versus, this felt like actual fluent fighting, and it just looked so cool, dude. So cool. Yeah. I will say, to this point, when it comes to Jackie's death, which reminds you, we got a really cool moment not only with Jackie versus Kamir, not only with Soul versus Kamir, but also with Soul and Jackie versus Kamir. I think the next biggest disappointment for this episode is kind of what was going on with Yord and May, or not May, Osha. And
yeah.
Not that it was bad, you know, again, strategically, this makes sense. Yord is in charge of getting the civilians back to the ship because they are not supposed to be in a battlefield situation. You know?
Yes.
Like, it's just like military. You know, if there are civilians on a mission, the goal is to then extract the civilian, not allow it to progress, not force the civilian into combat. So, with Yord having to run away and retreat and not help out, I understand that.
I understand that completely too.
I just didn't like, oh my god, we're gonna fight the Sith Lord with moths.
I didn't like the whole aspect of Osha being like, we gotta go back, they're gonna kill him. I'm like, of course he's gonna fucking kill him. What do you think the Sith's trying to do? The reason they did that.
I don't mind that as much, but go ahead.
The reason they did that, the only reason I think they did that is just to have Yord die. And they were like, we gotta come up with some idea to have Yord die. Because what Yord was doing made sense. If Yord would have went back to the ship, he probably would have even messaged saying, hey, there's a Sith Lord here. Help, Sith. But because
Andre, when we get to that, there's something to go over. Don't worry.
Okay.
I know you're angry about the whole canon thing, but I got an idea. I think it's how they're gonna play it too, and we'll go over that later.
I'm not gonna lie, guys. Like, it sucks because I can tell, especially with how Yord and Jackie went down. They're trying to make you care about these characters. They're trying to make you care about Osha and May. And no offense to Osha and May, they're very flat characters. May is a psychopath, and when at the part where they meet, and they're like, the Jedi have been betraying you, you know, and the whole hug and everything, they're trying to make you feel emotion. They're like, yes, you know, come back to me. The Jedi took you away. And it's like, and how Osha reacts like, no, I need to turn you in. You've literally murdered people. And I'm like, yeah, you murdered people. What the fuck? Oh, Jesus. It's just like, oh, God.
Which, I know where you're coming from with that, because I think that's also kind of what plays into it, though. Where, obviously, they have a very interesting relationship. You know, especially at this point in the show.
Yes.
But, I definitely cared more for Jackie and Yord during this moment. One, because they're actually fighting. You know? Osha didn't pick up a lightsaber and try fighting the
May just kept trying to run away. Any chance?
She was actively being hunted. I gotta give her a little more props for running, you know? She is being hunted by her own master. You know what I
And
mean?
Jackie too, but the thing, okay, I get that, but the thing is that just makes me is literally May have like a whole 180. Because remember in episode 4,
I
she was
yeah, yeah,
like,
yeah.
"Hey, I'm gonna turn myself in. My sister is blah blah blah."
Absolutely.
So okay, understandable. Okay, but
Uh-huh.
then now we see that she like was running away, which is understandable because one Jackie's
Yeah.
trying to beat the shit out of her. But I'm pretty sure I'm not saying if she talked to her that would change anything. Well, actually, no. She should have turned herself in because all she was trying to do was just like handcuff her. But literally, she was fighting with Jackie, so it didn't make any sense. Because I would understand if Jackie was like actually trying to kill her,
Yeah.
that would make sense. But no, she literally fought her. So it's like, did she forget what she was doing? Like I don't know. So I was like, okay. I'm like, okay, let's pretend. Let's keep it going. She's running away from her master, trying to kill her. Understandable. And they were trying to help her, which at that point you're like, okay, maybe she should work with the Jedi. The Jedi are literally trying to protect her from her Sith master. Okay, no, she still she still tries to. Oh, God, it's just so bad.
Again, there's a lot going on here, and
Oh
I think when we get
shit.
to that part in the episode, there might be a little clarity there that I might be able to
Oh
place in
God.
perspective. I don't know. It was weird because, like, yes, she should have just turned herself in.
That's literally what I think. Also, what?
Yeah, no, she should have just said to Jackie, like, hold on, I didn't do this. I turned myself in, though.
Yeah.
It was him. I promise you, it was him.
Like the
Now,
episode.
it didn't help that
Yeah,
she
go ahead.
took the lightsaber off the corpse. Which, dude, that's a big fucking lightsaber. Obviously, it's for a Wookiee, but that's a big fucking lightsaber.
That's a big boy
I love
lightsaber.
it. Yeah, it was awesome.
This
Because,
is-
obviously, they're gonna have bigger hands. Obviously, it's gonna be a bigger sword. But, dude, oh, that was so cool. I think the only thing that would have made it even better if it was one of those hilted lightsabers, like Kylo's.
Yeah.
know? Dude, I love that style, especially with stuff like Jedi Survivor. You know?
Yes.
Like, using that sword style was my favorite in Jedi Survivor. The video game, folks, for those of you that don't know.
It's funny because
Uh-huh.
it's funny. And then the whole thing of going back to what I was saying with like May, she literally becomes Osha at the end, guys. And
yeah.
Osha is pretty much May now. Left on the
Yeah.
planet. So it's weird because May's like everything changes because my sister's alive. So
Oh,
she
dude, there's a lot of them.
so she
Worry.
pretty much just leaves Osha on the planet. It's like, I'm going with Yord. Or not Yord. I'm going with Soul. I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like,
Andre, we'll get there.
oh, Jesus Christ.
Don't worry.
Man.
Hold on to your hysteria. Don't worry.
It just, even if there's an explanation for all this, the way they present this, it's just ridiculous. How are you supposed to understand this? Like, you could say, "Oh, well, they'll explain it, in the next episode,
Yeah.
flashback." That doesn't make sense. Like, it just
know,
God, it's so funny because it just doesn't make sense in what's happening. And I think the part is if they would explain it, like especially May, like why did she have a change? Why does she have such a connection with her sister? Like, yeah, the flashback kind of showed that, but like, show us something. Show us like that turmoil going into her head. Show her like, I don't know, man, kind of thing. Regret, or like her changing back to now that we're assuming she's working for the Sith now. She's gonna go kill Soul. So she's technically still working for the Sith, maybe not exactly for the Sith, but she's technically gonna get Soul. And then there's the whole plot MacGuffin that if literally Soul gets back and tells them about the Sith,
No, hold on.
that's
I
where.
don't think that's a MacGuffin yet. I don't.
Yes, it is. How is it not a
Hold
MacGuffin?
on, no. Andre, get there.
Okay.
We'll get there. Don't worry. Don't worry. There's a lot there. Oh, I'll unpack just a little later. Okay, just a little. I promise you. Because the one thing I want to give credit to is Jackie Yord dying.
I'll give it to Disney.
You know?
I did not think they were going to kill off characters like that. So I'll give them that.
Right?
And they did something actually
To me, that was
good.
awesome.
They actually
To me, that
did
was
something.
awesome.
She literally knocked off her mask, Jackie did, and then Yord used the mask and pretty much beat him with and knocked out his sword, and then he got his neck snapped. But I kind of feel bad for OSHA because literally, if Yord didn't listen to OSHA, he'd probably be still alive.
Yeah, exactly. Which another
Jesus
reason why
Christ.
right now the sisters are a little iffy as characters, but the Jedi are awesome. But one of the reasons I want to come back is because there's something that I feel like it's acknowledged and then it was unacknowledged by the end of the episode. The fact that I want to see like someone recreate Kamir's lightsaber, okay?
Because he had that that normal sword, and then kind of had like that little
So
dagger in it. Yeah.
He had the detachable lightsaber on the bottom of his hilt. So mind you, it's not like a double blade, and he didn't just pull it apart necessarily. It was like he pulled the hilt out of the other lightsaber.
And that's how he kills Jackie, yeah, with the 3 stabs.
Dude, again, that was so clean. Like, I absolutely love that. It's so brutal. And the fact that it wasn't just one, it was, like...
Stabby.
That was like a mercy killing at that point, because you could just left her bleeding there. Nah, you made sure she died in the moment with that.
I'm glad to see that actually lightsabers in Star Wars Disney, or Disney Star Wars, actually kill people.
Right? Like, that's fun. That's
Instead
fun.
of...
We finally get to see lightsabers kill.
Not just, oh, I'm wounded. Oh, I'll get healed. Like, what the fuck?
Or like Maul, who falls down a hole and
Oh, God! Yeah.
Which makes sense, cauterization and all. But nah, fuck that. We're done with that.
We're done with that shit.
We're done with that. And yeah, no, I just, I'm caught up on that just for the fact that then he puts that second saber away instead of fighting with it, even though they know he has it now. But I love that. I just love it. I want to see like how that works, and of course, when we get into something like Jedi Survivor or whatever the sequel might be, maybe we see a device like that for Cal. Like, that'd be really cool,
Mm-hmm.
And then yes, giving props to Yord, just because how he disarms the Sith
With his own helmet.
with his own helmet, which is really cool. And I love the brutality. Like, this is this is Star Wars. You got laser guns and you got fucking blasters. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And we just witnessed someone killing another person with their bare fucking hand.
Fucking broke his neck.
I love that, dude. Which, mind you, more
Jesus.
props to fucking Manny Jacinto. Again, the actor who plays Kumir. Because one, his arms are jacked,
He was jacked.
And you gotta tell, like, damn, that would require some serious strength to just go.
He used the force break neck.
No, he did not.
I thought I heard like a boom, like a bass when he fucking did that.
I mean, that's fine, because I'm sure that's like to signify the bone snapping.
Yeah, it's pretty impactful. I said that was...
Dude, that was so clean. Like, so brutal, but so clean.
But the thing is, I asked you, with all these great things, why was Soul just standing there?
Okay, yes.
That was
That's where it does get into, again, we come back to the placement. Because Jackie, Soul launched the dude off of the, like, little hill they were
the
on.
little cliff, or not like, like a hill.
And Jackie leaped at him. Soul, why didn't you go with her?
Like a spider monkey, and then he's just standing there up on that hill, just like watching.
Yep.
Like, did he want them to die or something?
Like, get in the fight, Soul, please.
See, the thing is that I think what might have happened, which they did a horrible job at showing it if it is true, because I remember, wasn't it Yord that, or who was it? It was one of the Jedi that were saying that he was, like, he gets into their minds.
It was Yord.
It was Yord, okay.
Was saying he gets into their mind. You don't know how to fight him because he's just, like, that good.
And it's just...
It's like, it's crazy. Like, again, I love his fighting style. It's so cool. His look, dude.
I liked it when he shish kebabbed 2 Jedi.
That was super cool.
It was kind of funny.
Okay. I have to watch the video again from their reaction to the episode because they gave it a name and I'm like, I hate it.
Smilo Red.
No. They named the shish kebab.
Oh,
they had a name for the shish kebab, and I was like, God damn it! Of course, that's what it's called.
I love the one Jedi that got put on the end of the shish kebab. He's just like, like, I just think it's just kind of stupid. Also, they're background Jedi. It makes sense. They're not supposed to be important. They're gonna die. But just the reaction of, like, I understand your lightsaber not working, but don't you think you're fighting a fucking Sith? Don't you think the last thing you should be thinking is like, oh fuck, my lightsaber broke. I maybe use some force or just do something. It just sucks because those 2 characters, all they were doing is just like, and they're like, it's on, and then he's like, he's like stab, and then he's like pull the other one, and the other guy's like, being dragged into this.
Hey.
Oh shit.
By the way,
dude.
I do want to point something out. Oh, by the way, it also makes sense that Yord was told to run, considering he was injured. Not fatally. He got like sliced along his knee.
Yes. So having him go back was probably not a good idea.
So, by the way, it's not called the shish kebab. It's called the Sith kebab.
The Sith kebab? Okay, I like that.
I was like, I remember they said something so stupid during it. Like, yeah, they did the Sith kebab.
Now, there was one camera angle that I think... I understand what they were trying to do. I think you know which one I'm talking about.
You're gonna have to remind me.
Okay, so when he's chasing after May, they decide to put a camera on his head, so all you can see is his head, and you can tell he's running. So it's just like a camera shot of his head, like moving back and forth like he's running. I thought it was kind of funny and hysterical.
I'm gonna have to try and find it real quick.
I'll have to see if I can find a clip. Yeah, look for the clip, because it's like one of those shots.
Timestamp.
I would have to see if I can find it, because I just remember it in this thing, and I'm just like, I understand what they're trying to do. They're trying to make it seem menacing and, like, scary, because he's, like, chasing after her, and and the camera shot was pretty much his head, and you could see the background's kind of, like, blurring and moving, so you know he's, like, running really fast. Maybe he's force running. Who knows? But it was kind of funny in a way. Damn, I have to see.
Wait, was that it right there? Hold on. I'm just
okay. But yeah, it's.
Is this it right here? Did I find it first?
I think
yeah.
I understand what they were trying to do, but it just did not work for what they were trying to pull. It just was more funny.
You know what makes that like so much better? The fact that at one point he is following her, okay?
Yeah.
Well, when he cuts, like, it does 2 cuts like that, where you just see his helmet and it gets closer and closer. He is then in front of her, like he cut her off. So, I think it's cool, but at the same time, how the fuck did you get there?
I know, it's just... It's confusing.
Anyway, it was a very funny shot. To realize, yes.
Yes.
But I love his helmet, like, I'm too drawn on the fact that he looks fucking terrifying.
Well, I'm gonna say, Spartan, if you really love the helmet enough, they are selling it for $100.
Don't tempt me.
I'm just being honest. They are selling it for $100. I think it's black. It's that brand. I don't remember the brand.
I think it's called
Yeah.
Black Series.
The Black Series, yeah. Black Series, yeah. So I know they are selling it. So if you really are interested, it is $100. If you guys are interested,
Don't
$100. But
Don't tempt me, because
It's-
it's like wearable, dude.
I'm assuming it is. I'd be really sad if it wasn't for $100.
I mean, sometimes when they do a collectible thing, it's like either overly huge or it's not wearable just because it's it's a collectible item. It's not like to be worn, obviously.
I'm
Like
gonna
it's
have to
not like
look
a
it up.
cosplay item versus being a collectible item.
I'm gonna have to
But
look
yes,
it up now.
with the death of those two Jedi, we kind of get back to the point where it's like it gets really weird because I want to say I love and hate the fact that OSHA stuck the light, poor Pip, sticking Pip to the Jedi, or not to the Jedi, to the Sith, which there's something weird there, okay?
Yes.
That is the third opportunity Khmer has had. Up to that point, mind you. The third opportunity up to that point Khmer could have killed OSHA. Okay?
Yes.
Could have. And this is where I think, some of the, stuff you're angry about, I think will come into play, where we're going to see a 180 from both sisters. Really? Because I think it's at this point Khmer doesn't want to kill OSHA, more maybe wound and/or capture OSHA. Like, I think he sees something in OSHA that he doesn't see in May. And that might just be loyalty, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because when she has loyalty to a character, she's held up to it. You know what I mean? Versus May, who, I love you, die. I love you. Or, not I love you, I will follow you. I'm gonna leave you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, May's wishy-washy.
Yeah, and again, get into that later, but I loved and hated the fact that OSHA just put that on his back, and that was that. Because there was plenty of opportunity for then his character to capture OSHA. He had a point where he had an arm around May and the saber to her forehead.
Mm-hmm.
Had the kill shot hostage situation, he easily could have done the exact same maneuver on her and didn't.
Yeah.
Mind you, he's about to be swarmed by centipedes, flying centipedes, and that's probably for the better. And I'm just glad they didn't kill him off in the same episode.
I didn't think they were going to kill him off. He's kind of the.
I hope not. No.
He's very important because the thing is Soul and him know each other. We don't know how or where, but I feel like
I forgot to go over.
Yeah, I feel like that is something that's going to lead into the whole story. I don't know how he gets into the story at all, but there's something that he knows about Soul, and that's why Soul knows him. And it's I did not like. Okay, I understand the bugs are going to happen because they did the whole foreshadowing or they revealed the bugs. It's like, hey, these bugs are attracted to light, guys. I'm like, okay, this is going to happen. I'm like, oh, thanks. Thanks for letting me know. I couldn't have picked up that he went straight for the lightsaber because it was attracted to light.
They served that on a silver fucking platter to us.
I did not.
Like we weren't gonna see it.
I understand they had to use the bugs because that's just how it is.
Yeah.
I just felt like
a great way to disarm
him. He was already technically disarmed.
Well, no, I mean disarm the situation. Otherwise, this could continue to be a bloodfest. I feel like it's just a great way to break the tension at that moment. I feel
that's fair. I don't know, just the whole thing with it's. The thing is I understand they're trying to make this as a mystery. We still got 3 more episodes. We're gonna learn so much more. But the thing is, it's at this point, I felt like we should have learned a little bit more. Like why didn't May tell Osha what the Jedi did? Because she knows something, but she's
Here's the thing. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Sorry.
She knew something, but she just talks in cryptic like, oh, the Jedi, you can't trust them, blah blah blah, and stuff. And it's like, this is your sister. Wouldn't you be like, hey, this is why the Jedi aren't good, And I understand this is like a series, this is like a story, and they're trying to keep it all a mystery. But why wouldn't it be okay for at this moment to tell your sister what happened? Because I think it would be interesting what if Osha found out what happened that night? What if Osha's like, oh my god, holy shit,
I think we're at a good point to now talk about the actual ending, like where we're at.
Yeah, go ahead.
With May and Osha swapping places, which I still think that's so weird of a choice. One, okay. And this is brought up in the reaction, blah, blah, blah. One, I think Soul knows who he's talking.
Yes.
Okay? I think Soul knows exactly which sister this is.
I hope. I really, really hope. I'm hoping he isn't fooled by May.
You're right. One, because, he does address, obviously it's a weird moment, like, where did she go? Who? Your sister? What do you mean, who? For one.
But you also got to think he might be disorientated too, possibly, because of everything.
Yeah, but she seems perfectly fine.
I know she is.
Well, he's discombobulated. It's like, you look fine. What happened? Where'd she go? And then it's just, who? You know what I mean? Like, you didn't even say the Sith Lord. Like, you could have said the Sith Lord.
Yeah.
And, like, you got carried away by bugs, didn't you see? Or, something
okay,
weird like
before
that.
you go forward, there's another thing. I do not like how she dealt with becoming Osha by cutting her hair with a lightsaber. The only reason I have an issue with this is, have you ever smelt burnt hair?
I've heard this already. I love it.
It does. Like, it smells bad. It smells pretty bad. So no offense.
I know it. Never had that in my life.
The only it is a weird circumstance is why I smelt it, but pretty much back to the point. It smells bad. So no offense with Soul, especially with Osha in quotations comes up to Soul. I think Soul would have asked, what's that smell?
No, I don't think he'd care about that. Because mind you, Andre, even though there's that smell, there's also the charred corpses and dead people around him. That battlefield probably smells much worse.
He should have at least grabbed their lightsabers and been like, let's take these back to Coruscant for the families.
That is something I'm hoping they actually build upon. I'm hoping that comes up next episode.
But
won't.
Yeah, because didn't they technically make it to the ship at the end of the episode? Or it looked like they did make it to the ship.
They were on their way. I don't believe we saw them get to the ship. Oh, no, we did. Okay. You're right.
Yeah.
And Basil is then following them. Mind you, I'm so glad, I said before Pip, but obviously Pip got rescued. Pip is still alive, and I love the fact that now we have both Basil and Pip, who are clearly each going to know that this is May, not Osha.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure
that Basil who's going to lose his shit, which, okay, another thing that was brought up in the reaction, I feel so bad for Basil. You know why?
Why?
He's going to be flipping his shit, attacking Soul. Like, this is not the woman you think she is. He doesn't necessarily know the language. Yord was the only one who could communicate with Basil.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And we had that. That was
oh, yeah, that is true.
where he's like, I wanted to try something a little more niche, know?
Ah,
I want to be an
jeez.
all-inclusive Jedi, and he's the only one who took that language, as far as we know. You know, maybe Sol knows. He's an older, wiser Jedi, I think, than Yord.
Yeah.
So maybe he still knows, but he's just gonna play it off like, don't worry, I know. You know, like he's just gonna disregard Basil. Because, well, I want to bring up where it's definitely a weird twist, like, of them just simply swapping places. Like, a part of me wants to, like, dive into that, like, what the scene was. And then the other part of me is like, I don't care what the scene was. I'm looking more at what the outcome be.
Okay.
And this is what I'm talking about. Because, this is episode 5. I said a long time ago when episode 3 came out that episode 6 is probably when we're going to get the flashback for the Jedi. You know? And I think that's exactly what we're getting next up. I think that's exactly what we're getting next. Because, I want to look at what we're at now. We are now with Sol, and we are now with Osha with Kamir. Who, Kamir clearly knows who this is.
Yeah,
You know?
he knows.
And I love the difference in Sol being so almost aggressive with May. You know, like, where'd you go? You know, and like so alert and, you know, like upset. And Kamir being calm and almost, or Osha, you know? Like,
Yes.
covering her up as she's passed out. And obviously, you know, not slaughtering her in her sleep, you know?
Yes.
Because I think we are in a prime opportunity to not only know the Jedi's, to knowing the Jedi story, but I think we're gonna also learn about Kamir. Because, Andre, you brought it up, I completely forgot about it, I'm so glad you brought this up. That Kamir knows something about Sol, and I think he knows about that night. Okay?
Yes. The question is, why though?
What I want to say is, with May being with Sol, I understand Osha is the one who needs to hear that story.
Yes.
But if Sol tells her, I think Osha's just gonna forgive him. You know, like it's gonna be like, I feel like it's gonna go in one ear, out the other. I don't care. I care. You know, like I care for you, Sol. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, I don't believe you're a bad person, and we just forget this happened. Because my sister's a bitch, and so was the cult, you know? Like, I feel like that's too easy.
Yes.
I think the person who needs to hear it from May. I think she needs to hear it from Sol's perspective, not only to know what happened that night around her, but to know that he regrets it. To know he has hatred in himself. To know that he has this grief and like all this regret for everything he did. And that's what May needs to hear to kind of get her shit together. Whereas Osha, I don't think she needed that. I don't think she needed this explanation. Or if she needed it from May. And so I think Osha's perspective here, or like what's going to be important with her, is we're going to learn that this isn't only the Jedi story. Because, you know, like with the cult, we have the cult perspective, and we have the daughter's perspective. We have the twins' perspective. We have two perspectives in the episode, and it's something we touched base on in episode 3, but we never clearly acknowledged. I think what we're going to see is Jedi were planet. I don't think the cult was the only inhabitants of that planet. I wonder if Kamir was like this little kid trying to sell fruit with his family, and he saw the Jedi wander town, and then the Jedi go out on these missions, follows them like a little boy, and he saw what they did. He saw the destruction the Jedi caused. That's what I think he knows. I think he's gonna tell Osha exactly what the Jedi did.
Okay.
So both twins are gonna get this perspective of the Jedi murdered everybody. You know?
This whole conspiracy.
I think that's exactly what's gonna happen, dude. And I love it, you know? Because it gives Osha a point to reflect on. Because not only is she with her, like, worst enemy, you know? She's learning the truth about who thought was probably her best friend.
Yes.
And May, she's coming to terms with someone she sees as her worst enemy, and obviously flipping on the perspective that her best friend wants to kill her. You know, the master.
Yes.
So I just love what has been set up. I don't like the how. I love what's set up. I wish it was handled a little more properly.
It's just. I think it's a good setup. It's just how they execute, how they wrote it, just feels very rough.
There's something there that doesn't quite fit. But I just want to see what's next. You know, like I almost cringed at the scene, but I'm glad at what's going to happen because of it.
I think I think that's the thing is that they're like, we have to do this in this episode, and they wrote it because we have to do it like this instead of letting the story flow and stuff. And I think that's part of the issue is it feels very like it has to happen these certain ways. These things have to happen to make it happen like this, but it does not feel natural. It feels very like, okay, I guess that works. I don't know. It's just not really great writing.
Also, another thing I saw and heard during the reactions, or not reactions, I think I was actually watching Rockstars and definitely check them out. They clarified that this episode specifically, well, this one and last week's episode. Last week's episode was actually supposed to be a longer episode, which would have included part of the fight, not the rest of it.
Uh-huh.
So, like, I think it would have ended with Jecky's death, if I had to take a wild guess. And then it probably would have picked up with Yord's death. You know, like, continuing from the rest of that fight.
I think that would have been a lot more impactful than what we got, where he's just, like, going...
I don't know. I think at that point you'd have to end with Yord's death more. Just because, like, I don't think we need to carry that momentum, you know? Like, I don't want to split those two characters up. I feel like it's a great package deal that they delivered with those two characters dying.
I can see that, yeah.
So either before Jackie died or after Yord died. That's where the cutoff can or could have been. I almost don't mind this. I think the only part that didn't belong was the two sisters trading off. Because I feel like we almost needed that moment with whatever the hell's happening to accept it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think it's just also hard for both of them to personally, like, replace each other. Because you got to remember...
Oh, yeah.
May, she has that symbol on her forehead. Okay?
Yep, it's going to be impossible to hide that.
Even though technically, if you see in the scenes, she has her hair all covering it, and they made sure to have it covered. So it's like, don't worry, guys. He's not going to fall for it. He's not going to look.
Mind you, she ever walks in front of a fan on the ship, she's fucked.
You
know what I mean?
Her worst enemy is a fan.
Which, again, I think we're in a moment where I'm really excited. Because I'm excited for next episode because this is stuff I'm looking forward to. I love character interaction. That's one of the things that drives me when it comes to the series and the show. Like, because it's all about intention, the ethics, the reaction of characters. So I think there are two great parallels here that we're talking about, where I think both masters know exactly that they're not talking to their apprentices.
I hope so.
To the other. That's what I'm saying. I think Soul he's gonna tell this whole thing. He's gonna tell him about what he did, how he regrets it, and May is gonna come to terms with the fact that, God, why did I do what I did? Like, he feels bad enough. I didn't need to do this to start,
I think you could have gotten the same thing though with like let me set up a scenario instead of how it turned out with May being OSHA and going with Soul to the ship. Let's pretend they still have that fight. OSHA gets knocked out. Whatever. It's not. It doesn't really make sense. Well, it kind of does, but it could have been better. Why didn't just May? Because Soul was kind of like knocked down. Why didn't she just go over there and be like, hold a lightsaber to his throat? And it's like, why did you take me away from? Yeah, like hold it towards him. It's like, hey, why did you take my sister away from me? Blah 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 stuff. And then it could have been like, okay, I'll tell you what happened. It could have been the same impact that we're probably gonna get with May and Soul. Or Soul telling May what happened. Just like Kumir is going to tell OSHA probably what happened that night from his perspective.
I think another very important thing to bring up, though, is, like I mentioned earlier with the whole purpose of moths, I think it's clearly... Okay? Because obviously we were in a very tense moment where it's just a Sith bloodbath.
Yes.
Okay? Like, there is blood in the water. Get out now. Okay?
Yes.
So with May, if May confronts Soul here on the planet, as soon as he gets free of those moths, he's gonna keep looking for her. Like, that creates like this ticking timer, Like, if he doesn't speak fast enough or he's too slow and he doesn't speak truth, we don't get the revelation we're going to, because obviously the Sith didn't catch up to him and Mother May probably, because Soul's in handcuffs and being threatened. May doesn't know what the fuck she's doing.
Well, she's taken by anger. And we have to also think about the way they write the story. I understand what you mean, like, like with May being angry and frustrated, she could just kill Soul. It makes so much sense. And if he doesn't say what she wants to say,
Oh, no, I'm not saying it like that either.
Wait, then what are you trying to say then?
I'm saying Kumir obviously breaks free of the moths.
Yes.
There is this ticking clock that even if Soul says everything right and going, Kumir is going to catch up to them. The reason that this moment needed to happen the way it did, like we need to see Soul May make it chip, is because now there is distance and there's no reason to continue the fight. Like now, and another perspective you can give for Soul is now in a private setting where he may not believe OSHA, in which he is going to like confess his heart.
I really hope he. I swear, if he doesn't know who it is, oh my god.
I think he definitely needs to know who it is, but I still want him to confess his heart out. In this private setting, like he needs to tell her without any distraction. You know what I mean?
Yes.
If you have the Sith Lord who is still angry...
What are you talking about? He's dead. The bugs killed him, for all they know.
No, I don't think that was a safe bet at all,
If that was the case, then why didn't he let Soul kill him?
What?
Why didn't OSHA let Soul kill the Sith?
I mean, I think OSHA still believes that the Jedi way is to not kill.
Oh.
You know what I mean? Like, and I think that's part of why we need to have what happens, because OSHA clearly doesn't know what these Jedi have done, Like, she doesn't see the darkness that they have caused. And I also love the line from Kumir, which, again, I failed to cover earlier, where I've come to terms with the darkness within me. Because clearly, Soul has not come to terms with the darkness within him. Like, it eats at Soul, it embodies Kumir. Does that make sense?
Yes. That's why he's
He wields it as a weapon, and Soul is trying to wear it under his cloak. Which again, that's why I'm excited for the moment we've got, because now we have the two parties separated. There's no imminent threat. It's a private setting with lack of danger. You know, like it gives them all the time, all the peace of mind to speak. You know, it's just like when you're trying to talk to someone and there's stuff going on around you, and so you're trying to explain exactly how you might feel about a situation, or like you're giving your opinion on. But because there's all this distraction coming in, it's really hard to find those. So it tends to get like misconstrued, you know, or maybe the person's like, "Wait, so you don't like it?" No, that's not a thing. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Like, they just have peace. They have clarity. Point in time where they are separated.
And then we'll go back to the name, the titles probably splitting up again. For the titles.
I think that's exactly what's going to happen. I feel like it'd be very fitting for the next episode being the Jedi's perspective, thing aside from Destiny, or being counterpart to Destiny.
Yes.
And the reason I think it will be something like duty is because the Jedi see it as like what they have to do, whereas Destiny is something that's like it's going to happen. You know, like it's decided already. Duty, you think you have to do it.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
So then,
you know, like you're destined for greatness versus you are headed towards greatness.
It's going to be interesting to see what happens. It's going to be interesting.
I'm excited.
I'm
really excited.
Curious. Not really excited, but curious to see how they're going to tie this up in a bow.
Oh, yeah. Which, mind you, where we have 2 more episodes, I'm really curious where this is going to go. For the sake that I think by the end of next episode, Soul will have delivered May to Coruscant. Okay? To be used in whatever capacity that might come across then. And I feel like Kamir and Osha will survive the in which they will return to Kamir's ship. Okay?
Okay.
Which gives us this whole episode. Parties are completely separated, and then it leaves us for episode 7, whatever, you know, now that Kamir and Osha are back ship and able to travel, and Soul and May are back at base and more than likely going to be sent out on another mission, or like something else is. Okay, and I told you we can talk about this later. And hold true to it. The whole thing with Ki-Adi-Mundi. Okay? I talked about this when it came to episode 3, you know?
Uh-huh.
Where obviously, you know, the Jedi are doing some weird kind of Black Ops level shit, you know? I'm personally curious if Ki-Adi is not going to become that, like, Black Ops, like, general, you know? Like, you know, you've played Call of Duty. Folks, if you haven't, Call of Duty, you know, all about Black Ops, typically. You know, one of the more successful franchises. Where there's a lot of stuff that happens that goes under, you know, off the books, okay?
Okay.
I think Ki-Adi's whole point, and, like, why it doesn't get brought up, that obviously we had a Sith Lord fairly recently, is because they're sweeping it under the rug, because this is a fucking fluke, you know? They don't think that this is an actual threat. You know, this is like, okay, and I'm gonna spoil something, folks, and spoil Modern Warfare 2. For those of you who don't know, Andre, you probably already know what I'm talking about.
How dare you?
This is General Shepard tying off a loose end. You know? This could be Ki-Adi coming out of nowhere and killing Soul. Like, we do not speak about this moment again. Understood. You know what I mean? Like, this could be how we say goodbye to Soul. To tie up and cover up all of it.
I don't think it's gonna be him.
What, you don't think it's gonna be Kiadi that does it?
I think it's gonna be what's her name? The girl with
Green chick?
Yeah.
Yeah, it probably will, just because then you have another not familiar character do the dirty deed.
Because
But I still think Kiadi's gonna be like the big man, you know, like, you know what? It still works. You know? Like, even if the green chick kills Soul and May and Osha come in and kill her, Kiadi can clean up the two twins' feet.
the funny thing is I think Kiadi is just a background character. They just wanted to have somebody from episode 1 since they did the whole promotion, and that's all they had him for.
I know.
It's depressing to say that, but I think that's literally the only reason he is there. Because they were trying to get Yoda in, and the whole reason they even got him is because he was the only one that was available to do it.
Yeah, no, I know. I know we've covered that. It's just... Also, while we're kind of on the subject of legacy characters, folks, I do want to bring up, I apologize for last week. I thought there was a second cameo. There was a Plo Koon character who was on the squad with Soul.
And he got fucked.
Actually, it's a she.
He was the one that got sliced in the chest, didn't he?
Probably. I don't know. It looked... If
I'm
I'm
thinking
remembering correctly, she was on her knee and got stabbed back. Like, he like, cut her legs, she fell, and he stabbed her. Because you see her face when she falls. But yes, she's a whole nother name. I think Eth Antari or something. Like, she's a whole nother character. A young Padawan. Unfortunately. But, you know, obviously Plo Koon just fucking died. If that were the case. Which would have been a whole nother fiasco in of itself. But yeah, I don't know. I still think by the end of this story, it's going to be like some kind of Jedi Black Ops. Like, we're gonna cover this up. Like, this never happened. Is that understood? Kind of moment. You know?
Yes.
Like, I feel like they have to say that, and that's why it feels so, like, painstakingly obvious that something has to happen there. And Andre, I say this without delivering any spoilers, okay, for the Andor series.
No.
It's kind of like when you watch that show. Even all of the awesome characters that we meet and we see and we're introduced to in that show, we know Andor's fate, you know?
Yeah.
We know he dies in the movie Rogue One, and we know season 2 is the last season for Andor.
Heard we're also going to get to see some of the characters from Rogue One in the second season.
I wouldn't be surprised, because one of the things they kept teasing is that will probably how K2S is introduced to him, you know? Spoiler on Andre, that doesn't happen in 1, but you know
Damn
what I mean?
it! Yeah.
Oh, fuck! Anyway. But, you know, so there's all these awesome characters being set up that have the opportunity and more than likely will be killed off by the time the show runs its course.
Yeah.
I think Acolyte is getting another season. I don't see this this season wrapping up, you know, like the whole story. Now, mind you, it might get canceled and shit canned and not get a season 2.
That's the rumors I have been hearing, is that if there was going to be a second season, it is going to get canceled because it's just not doing well.
But otherwise,
who knows?
I don't think this story can end as it is without that story. You know, like, I feel like that's going to play a major... Like, Andor Season 1 does great at tying up the story for where it's at. You can accept that we go from Season 1 to Rogue One if they never did the second season.
Yeah.
Which they all. Like, it's confirmed. But, again, I don't think this show can stand on one season. So I'm really looking forward to what they do if it survives to do that. But yeah, no, there's just a lot there. Looking forward to Kiadi, which I know what you said about him just background character. I don't wrong, but like I've said before, Kiadi, he doesn't get the credit that his character lives up to in the books and the comics, where he is an asshole. He is the guy that, like, he will shoot you down because you are wrong, because you are not him. You know? He's that guy. And Kiadi doesn't feel like that in the movie or the show. This could be the series that kind of shows up Kiadi really is. And that him lying about the fact that there's not been any Sith for thousands of years is just him sweeping all this shit under the rug like he... You know?
Yeah. I don't know. I just don't see him taking that lead role.
I don't see him coming back to the story unless it's a season 2. You know? Like, that's when you can make him a prominent character. Kind of like in, you know, once again, Modern Warfare 1 and 2. Modern Warfare 1, you had Shepard. Shepard was kind of your team lead. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Shepard's the one who gave Price and his people all the missions. But then it's Modern Warfare 2, you worked a little more with Shepard directly to the point where he used you, and he used you to get...
Well, see, that's the thing, though. Like, at this time, I don't think Chaotic... Like, I get what you mean, but I think it's that one chick who's the General Shepard. He's more of, like, one of the soldiers that Shepard, like, his personal squad. He's not gonna... I don't think he's gonna be that prominent character. He's just an apprentice or, like, a normal, like, Jedi who just probably follows orders, is where I see him.
I'm gonna say he will probably fill those shoes when this bitch is gone.
Yes, I think that's probably what's gonna happen.
Because again, Kiadi is an asshole, and he's done a lot of questionable stuff in his time in Star Wars. Like, I don't deny him being like the General Shepard of Star Wars. Like, I love that comparison in my own head, of course. But that's why I'm, like, so stuck to it. Like, he can easily be this character, but I know what you mean. Like, he's too important of a legacy character to tie him up in much of his content. But that's why I'm hopeful for Season 2. Because, you know, you can obviously add cast and be a lot more direct as a character. You know? But let's say, coming off this high horse, back to what I was talking about, how do you feel about the theory that I was talking about with Kumir? You know, like Kumir's origin. Like, we gotta figure out how he knows. And like I said, maybe he was a little boy, maybe he saw the Jedi planet, and he followed them, like Soul followed the twins around, you know? Like, there's that. Or do you got any other ideas? Anything to kind of weigh in on what you think? How we go about seeing this play out?
Well, there's one thing that I know is in it. It's in the. It's one of the little trailers they showed for the Acolyte. And it's the part where we finally see, because remember, they said that we're going to see a lightsaber whip, which we still haven't seen.
Okay, I can't say I remember that, but yeah, go ahead.
If you watch the Acolyte, if you actually pull up on the stream, I have it pulled up. In the Acolyte plan, okay, the Acolyte plan trailer. They show the lady. I don't remember her name. I don't know what race she is.
I don't know.
She is the one that has the lightsaber whip.
A whip?
Yes, in the
Okay,
trailer.
okay.
And
Again, that's cool. Awesome.
and the
That's
thing
awesome.
is we also see it looks like it's still that same forest planet. So
Really?
what we can assume, or as I said, this is just a lot of theory and just like kind of
Yeah.
guessing at this point because we have no idea what's going to happen. Well, we have no idea
Yeah.
yet. But I'm assuming what's going to happen is Soul and May, they're going to get on the ship. They're going to try to fly away. Something's going to happen. They're going to come flying back, which is going to lead to their little. I guess it's not. I guess it's like their little council. It's not the High Council because they talked about how they didn't want to let the High Council know, which I'm assuming is the council for the Jedi, like what Yoda was on,
Okay.
Qui-Gon Jinn. I'm assuming that's the council they were talking about because then they would let the it's
I know what you're trying to say.
yeah. So that's how I understand because I know somebody was actually talking about it I was rewatching someone like rewatch and talk through it so I could get myself to like remember everything that happens in the episode because it has been a bit. They mentioned that. And I'm like, okay, so this is like a little segment group. It's like a little, like I just said, little escapade of Jedi that are all kind of, doing their own little thing.
This is where I bring up its Black Ops again.
So I'm assuming what happens is either Soul reaches out to them somehow and lets them know what's going on, and I'm assuming Soul will die. It just kind of makes more sense that he does die. I'm not knowing if it's going to be from May or if it's going to be from the council. But he does not get up. He gets into space, but he dies.
Okay.
The council, his little council, or his little group of friends, find out what happens, so they will go to the planet and try to fight Quamir. Now, Osha and May, their stance on what's going to happen will very much dictate on what happened that night. Either Osha will understand May better, May will understand Osha better. Osha will have a completely 180 on how she feels about the Jedi. Maybe both of them will be bad and they'll just attack the Jedi. That'd be kind of badass if they did do that, but I don't believe that's going to happen at all. It just doesn't. It'd be cool, but it's also just getting the characters to be like that because May's kind of just a flip flop. She won't stick to one side. 1 minute she's this, 1 minute she's that. Osha, she's very dedicated in what she believes, but I'm pretty sure after some explaining of what happened, her faith might be, or her trust might be destroyed, and she will have a completely different aspect. So I'm thinking Quamir is going to tell Osha what happened that night. I don't think Osha's going to fully believe him. May's going to get told by Soul what happened or why it happened, because I'm assuming May kind of knows maybe a little bit more of why the Jedi were there. But I'm pretty sure Soul's probably going to fill in the gaps of why they were actually sent there. Because I'm assuming May did see some stuff. So then the next episode is probably going to be more of the, we're going to clear the room. We're going to take away, we're going to clear the fog. We're going to get, like, you're going to understand a little bit more about what's going on. And then after that, it's going to be setting up for this final fight between this council, Quamir. I'm assuming if Soul's still alive, but I can't see Soul being really alive except after he tells what happened that night, so that everyone understands what happened from his eyes, because he is the last member of the Jedi squad, group, whatever you want to call them, that was there. So it's... And then it's just going on from there of how they're going to deal with Quamir as the Sith. May, depending on which side she's on, and Osha on which side she's on. Because the thing is with the council, do they personally care about Osha? like enough, because I think Soul is literally the only person on this little council, this little group of Jedi, who actually cares about her well-being. I'm pretty sure when Soul dies or Soul is gone, I don't think this council is going to give two fucks about. Pardon me, two fucks about Osha.
I don't think they will either. No.
They will. They'll probably try to kill both of them. So
I think they'll just be a loose end to clean up.
Yes. Yes. So it's going to be a very interesting to see how this ends. I do think Soul's going to die. It just would make more sense because he's literally one of the last people that has this whole secret about the Jedi and stuff. But I said he will reveal what happened before he dies.
He's got all the pieces.
Yes. He has
he holds all the pieces.
Technically, the council lady might have some of the pieces too.
Yes, but I'm saying like he's the only one that's not on their agenda.
Yes.
Like I said, I think he's gonna completely give in and be like, "This is what happened. I feel terrible," and then get murdered. You know what I mean? Or
He's
like,
gonna,
or be kind of cast aside, not forgotten, but you know, like they'll want him gone.
Yes. I don't think the council's gonna be the one that kills him. I think it's gonna probably be May. Maybe it's either gonna be May or the council. But there has to be a reason to prevent Soul from going to the council. I do not think, like, I know you were saying they're going to go to Coruscant, but I do not see that happening.
Well, see, that's the other thing that I was going to bring up with, like, how another way you could handle this, you know?
Yes.
Is simply bringing up the fact that they could just call from the ship, too.
See, the thing is that I've heard, I said I don't know how true this is, but I know somebody was saying, people that have read the High Republic books, is that their ships back in this time, which I don't know how true it is, but they were saying that their long communications were not the best. So I don't know how true that is. I've never read the High Republic books. I just know somebody did mention that. Probably somebody that does read the High Republic books is that their long communication just does not work that well compared to like in the prequels, the original, and everything. So I don't know how true this is. I don't know how well that works in the Old Republic. I don't know if that really breaks all that, if it's in its own little vacuum and they don't consider everything within the Star Wars lore and timeline. I have no idea. But that's what I've heard, is that that's the reason why they could not do that. And I said I don't know how true that is. But
I don't mind that idea.
I don't.
But at the same time, I'm pretty sure when they were on, like on episode 3, when they did didn't they mention that we have to report our findings to the council? Did they even mention that? So clearly, whatever they have a way of communicating.
Maybe they have to get out in space or something before, and then maybe that's how they communicate. Who knows? Maybe they can't do it on the planet. Yeah, I said I don't know the restrictions of this long communication, because you got to think about, like, in the prequels, literally Obi-Wan could literally pull out, like, have R2-D2 say, "Hey, report this to ricochet this over to the council." The Jedi Council. So maybe they have to go into space to get a better signal or something. I have no idea. We'll probably hopefully find that out next episode, because I'm assuming that's what Soul's going to do. He's going to tell the council or his little group of friends what the fuck's going on with the Sith and everything.
I'm with the idea that what's going to happen is that he's just simply going to, like, call them. Like, I don't know if I see them holding to that, plot element.
You don't think?
Unfortunately, I think there's a lot that they've already overlooked since,
Uh-huh.
Technically, but it's okay. We don't need to do that.
There is one thing. So you think that they're just going to call him on the planet?
I think, well, no, not on the planet, but, of course. I think we're gonna get like the class, like table meeting, like we got with Anakin and Ahsoka in the finale for Clone Wars, where like they're on like the holo projector, talking. You know what I'm talking about?
I get what you mean.
I think they're just gonna make a call to the green chick, and go from there.
Yeah.
And, like, it's just going to be that simple. And maybe, like, well, I want to hope then, Andre,
Huh.
because, especially with what you're telling me, that gives me a lot more perspective in terms of, like, what's going to happen with all that. What's going to happen with their storyline and how the council's going to react.
Damn it.
Especially with this, like, lightsaber whip element,
I actually might take back what I said.
What do you mean?
Because I'm watching more of these trailers and stuff, and as I said, they might actually, as I said, you can't always trust trailers because there are some times where they will put in stuff just to throw people off. They never actually gets shown in the episode. So the thing is like, I was thinking they weren't going to leave the planet. I'm actually going to take that back. I actually think they are going to leave the planet, and they're going to stop. They're going to, pretty much Quimera and Osha are going to chase Sol and May, and they're going to damage the ship. They're going to crash on a planet. And what we could do with this planet, because there has been some stuff in the trailers that looks like they're on some kind of snow planet.
Uh-huh.
Which we haven't seen anything about a snow planet at all. So it's kind of interesting. And there is a scene. The reason I say this is not because of the scenes with the snow, which it is kind of partially, but there's a scene where literally they're in space and there's two ships like chasing after each other, like through like an asteroid field, which the only thing I could possibly think of is Sol leaving the planet trying to get away. But there's also another scene where it shows Sol's ship, which is a really genuine ship that you see. It looks like it's falling back, like it's lost power and it's falling back to the planet. So to the forest planet. So the thing is that it really kind of makes you question, is like, will they get out of the planet, or will they get into a fight or something? And because like I still think the theory of the long communications thing, as I said, next episode's really gonna prove it. If like this long communication thing in the High Republic is true, that they cannot do communications from very long. So maybe they have to get to a certain distance to Coruscant, or they might actually have to just go straight to Coruscant.
That's where I want to bring up. I was gonna say, with I think a good way that we can also put, not only in Star Wars but in other where like they call in to their superiors. I think Modern Warfare serves as a great example here also, or Call of Duty in general, where it's like they call to their superiors, like, hey, we're gonna do this, okay? Or like, this is what's going on. Then the council gets back to them, says something about, like, okay, great, good job, we need you to fall back. Like, why do we need to fall back? Well, we're just gonna, like, nuke it, we're gonna get rid of it, period. And so instead of simply falling back, people then like take it upon themselves. Like, maybe there's innocent lives in the area that they need to help evacuate. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, they have a reason to go back, and then that directly defies orders, and they go against their superiors. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
I think we're going to see a situation probably like that then, where what you're seeing is like Sol and May probably made the like communication with the council. So that's like, wait, so that just means they're going to kill May, or that means they're going to kill Osha. Well, you got to stop the council because I guess in a sense, Sol could not reveal that May is Osha. You know what I mean? Like, play it as if this is Osha next to him instead of reporting her as May. You know what I'm talking about, right? You're like,
yeah. Yeah.
And then because of that, the council could simply be like, okay, we are deploying like a shit ton of Jedi and we're gonna kill this Sith here and now, and his apprentice. In which case, that means they're sending like a fucking army to go kill the Sith Lord and Osha, not me. You know what I mean? Like, it gives Soul a reason to go back. And it gives Soul a reason to fight his superiors to save her. And, you know, gives him a reason to come back to the planet and do all these things. Yeah, no, I think there's a lot there that we can unpack. Mind you, I almost don't want to watch the trailers. And that's just because I feel like there's a lot with this show. And I've given them a lot of props for, like, oh, I wasn't expecting this at all. But a lot of them do feel weird. Like the whole thing with May and Osha. You know, we've already talked about that. It feels, you know, good because I'm excited for next episode. But that doesn't mean it's not weird.
It's odd.
Yes, and so I almost don't want to look at the trailers because that will make the show even more predictable. You know, like I still couldn't accept it then for what it was or for what it will be. I don't know. I think there's a lot we can keep going with. Now, again, I'm excited for the laser whip, though. That sounds dope.
Yeah.
That sounds like I want to see this. I want to see this fight.
The laser whip's going to be interesting. I don't know. It's going to be interesting. I'm more... The sad thing is, there's Quamir, I'm more rooting for the bad guy at this point because he's, no offense, probably the more interesting character. Soul's a pretty... Like, the thing is, it's like... Soul... The character is kind of... I don't like the character. I do love the actor, though. The actor is amazing. He's in Squid Games. He's awesome. But I think the character is very... I don't know. It's like I don't really feel anything for him.
Really?
Because, like, he's kept the secret for so long... I understand that he has a connection with Osha after saving him, but it's like, at this point, we know he did something bad. I think it's also just because we kind of are already expecting what's going to happen, what he's going to tell. There's probably going to be a little bit of a twist. I don't think it's going to be a Ryan Johnson kind of twist, if you've seen any of his movies. His twists are, like, pretty nuts.
I have seen one of his movies, Andre. It's called Episode 8.
Yes, or I would say another good one is I'm trying to think of it. I gotta look up some of his movies, but he has like very interesting twists, and I'll give it to him. Some of his movies really do. You really are like, holy shoot! I would have never expected that because he does a pretty decently good job at like creating this world and like a mystery behind it. Compared to this, where I think they're trying to create this mystery, but a lot of the stuff is pretty predictable. Not even like a mysterious, like, oh, shoot, I never would have expected that.
No, I know what you mean. Again, Andre, another good movie to point out is Knives Out.
Knives Out is pretty good. I'm trying to think of an older one. What is it? It's the
I couldn't tell you.
It's the one. It's an older one, but it's the one where pretty much this like village. It's the village. The village. That's what it is. Oh my god. Sorry.
I don't know the village.
Okay. Spoilers. The movie's been out for a while, but pretty much the village. You're pretty much put into this pretty much the story about this girl, and this village. Like, it's an old, like, kind of medieval kind of style village. They got watchtowers because there's this creature that wears, like, this red cloak. And these people at these towers are supposed to let the villagers know when this creature comes. The thing is, this creature will come and people will disappear. Blah, blah, blah. It's a very interesting story with a lot of mystery because you don't know who this creature is. Later, you find out that it actually is one of the people in the village. And later, you find out this village where she's been living is in a national park, modern day. because the whole thing is the villagers, they always, or the higher ups, tell them not to leave the village, to stay because the creature's out there. So pretty much the higher up people from this village have created this monster, which is this person in this cloak that will come at night to prevent any of the villagers from leaving the village. Because they know if they leave the village, they're going to find out that everything they believe in this little village is a lie. As I said, that's a very good story, a very good, like, building an atmosphere, creating, like, mystery that doesn't feel so predictable. Like this one, it's very predictable. We all knew it was going to be Quamir. It just kind of made sense with everything that was going on with him that he was going to be the Sith Lord or the Sith. The thing is, I don't know what's going to happen to Osha May, just because literally how May's flip-flopping. I don't know what Osha's going to do. I think she's going to realize what's wrong, and she's probably going to go against maybe the Jedi, but I don't think it's from her. I don't know. I think it will be because what she finds out, but I think it's going to be more the reason why she'll go against the Jedi is because the Council is trying to kill her, because they're like, you're a loose end, so we're going to kill you. Kind of thing. Maybe it is a little bit because what she finds out from Soul about what they did to her family and why they all died that day. Possibly as well, but I think it's more because this council is coming after them specifically and trying to cover it all up. As I said, what I mean by council, I mean the little group of friends, because they're not the Jedi Council. They are a council of Jedi, or a group of Jedi. Let's just go to a group of Jedi, because I think people are going to get confused. They'll be like, the Council of Jedi knew this all along. No, it's a group of Jedi. It's like a little segment. They're their own little, like, segment of Jedi. They're not the Council of Jedi. Is how I understand it. Or maybe that one girl is probably one of the council members of the Jedi, but it's not the council. The Council of Jedi don't know about the whole incident that's going on, because they specifically say in the shows that they don't want to let them know, because then they'll have to let other people know, and it's just going to become a big mess, and a lot of issues are going to happen. But yeah, it's interesting. I'm just curious to see how this ends. The sad thing is, I just feel bad that I personally, as I said, just do not care about May and Osha, and sadly, these are the main stars of the show. This is what the whole show is revolving around: is these two characters. Osha, I can feel for how she feels with her sister. May, I really just don't care that much about, because how her character has been perceived as a kid to now, where she's just, like, very wishy-washy. Osha, as I said, she's just someone that wants to be her own person. She's been compared to May all her life as a kid. She wants to be her own person. She wants to go and discover the galaxy on her own, which is understandable. If you're a twin with somebody and you're the only two, you want to be, or just from what I heard from twins, most of them, they want to be different from each other. They don't want to be compared to each other. They want to be their own genuine person, which makes sense. Their own character. But yeah, it's just a very interesting thing. I'm curious to see how it ends. I'm curious how they're going to tie up this story in season 1, or if it's going to be kind of like a cliffhanger thing. But sadly for these two characters, they didn't get me to love them. Maybe the first episode, possibly second, I was like, okay, these characters are interesting, but man, that third episode where they did the whole flashback thing, it's hard to side with these two characters. I'm more siding with Quamir, because he just seems like a very cool badass who has a lot of story to unveil. But I think it's also because he's standing for something. He's standing against the Jedi for what they're doing. May kind of is, or she's kind of been doing that, but she's very wishy-washy on that stance. Osha, she's following blindly, but the thing is, she's not been given a reason not to believe in the Jedi. So it just kind of makes sense that she is following what Soul has told her, and she was a Jedi, and she's just kind of doing what she's told. May could have been that character that I could have cared about, because she was standing up for what she did, but then she's kind of just flip-flopped. But I say Quamir is probably the one character I care the most about, or I'm very interested to see how he turns out, or what happens, because he has a secret, he has some stories to tell us, but also he's the one that's kind of doing something about it instead of standing back or just being like, I don't know. You know, a man of action, just like how I can't remember the girl's name. The Padawan Jedi that died with the two blades. Yeah, Jackie and Yord. The scene that they died in was badass. It was cool because they stood up. They knew that they were up against all odds. They knew that they had to do something, and that's what made them great deaths. And I give it to them. They were great characters, especially at the end of their scene in the Acolyte, or their series, their end of their lives. They did what they needed to do, and I think that's what the issue is May isn't. She's done stuff, but now she's just very wishy-washy. She isn't doing anything anymore. She isn't standing up for what she believes in. Maybe she'll do it with Soul. Maybe she'll kill Soul, but I don't think May's got the. I don't think she's got the stuff to kill Soul. I don't know. That's just kind of how I feel about it. I think.
Yeah, no, I definitely don't see her killing Soul.
So.
I don't.
I just don't know what's going to happen because Soul's going to have to die at some point. I just don't know if it's going to... It might be the Council of what I'm kind of looking forward to, or maybe it might be something else.
I can't see him dying. And it's only because I feel like he carries too much weight for the story. You know, like you said, the twins are great and all, but I think right now the bigger dynamic, especially this, got to be Soul and Mir. Now, Andre, I hate to rush you and change the topic. We are 10 minutes till.
Okay. Go ahead.
But I want to say something. Another great point brought up for this episode. Of course, the Sith, they follow the 2. Okay.
Yes.
By now, surely the rule of 2 has been implemented.
That would make sense.
So, question or the debate that's been going on online is Khmer the master, or is he the apprentice? Because obviously we've seen a lot of cases the Sith crew, their next apprentice, then betray their master.
Yes.
So has Khmer already betrayed and is looking for his second? Or is he looking for his second to then kill his master? Like, you know, like, where does it...
I see what you mean. Yeah.
Like, is Khmer even the threat? Or is there someone worse?
It's going to be revealed that the other mom is the master.
Yeah.
Hey, it could be. We don't know.
No.
Yes.
Oh, man.
Yes. Because the thing is we still do not know if Khmer does know what happened. How does that relate? I think.
Once again, you know, I've made my theory.
Here's my theory.
Yeah.
I think what happened is maybe Khmer will come later after the whole thing happened, sees what happened, and it's the other mother, the one that was, you know which one I'm talking about, not the...
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. She is barely alive. Khmer helps her, and she is the one that teaches him the ways.
Yeah, I don't know about
Because the thing is like what I think a good hint of that is like, remember when Osha said specifically after Yord said there was only one person that she knew that could do that, that can get in people's minds, and that was her mom.
Well, but that was the one that we know died. The one who we saw get into a person's head.
I thought it was the other chick.
No, because it was you know, the Black Mother.
Was it?
Like their primary mother, then you know, did the whole black eye thing to Tormund, or not to Ray. What's his name? Torben.
Torben.
You know,
I'm gonna have to look that up.
she did that, and that's when Master Indara was like, release him. You'll be fine so long as you comply with us. You know. I'm positive she was talking about like the cult leader, their mother, not the other mother. Mind you, I do think both mothers can or could be capable. Like this, just cult magic. Like maybe this is something they could all do, or some of the more respective council of that cult. But I still believe, that comes down to them. And again, I really hope the mother's just gone. Please let her just be dead. Because
why?
If she's alive, why has she not made herself apparent to May?
Why would she?
The person. Well, I mean, May being the apprentice to suggesting is her own apprentice. Why wouldn't a mother just have made May her apprentice in the dark side? Or why have all this history of her own apprentice? How that all goes. Not to mention where we are in the timeline. We've already talked. Darth Plagueis could have been Darth Sidious. Like, I still feel like we need another major character here, like insert into this and play off of. Because this could be one of those characters like Plagueis, who the reason we've never heard of Khmer and who they are is because he tried to upend Darth Plagueis, and Darth Plagueis puts him down in his place by the end of this. Who then will go on to recruit Darth Sidious as his apprentice instead.
Yeah.
So we could get something like that. Like, I almost feel like that's more likely or much more appropriate for the circumstances at hand. And I just really, really don't want the mother to return. I think the mother should die at the hands of Corbin whenever we get the Jedi back. I feel like that needs to happen. Maybe not at the hands of Corbin, but die at the hands of Andara or something, Because I think the reason we don't see her is because she clearly does something somewhere else.
So maybe she comes back.
The reason... No. No, Andre, stop. I think like she's the one who gave Torben the scars he has today. I think that's where you end it with him.
Yes. Oh no.
So,
it's because he's had to have learned the dark side from somewhere, unless he just like took his anger and stuff. But I think he did learn from a master. I do think there is something about that. But the question is, who could it be? Unless it's like some character they want to bring in from Legends or from the prequels or stuff.
Well, see, again, that's why I don't see it being like it can't be one of those other ones I've mentioned before here on the channel.
Oh yeah.
Like we talked about Bane, but Bane's old. Bane is old. He's way older.
I'm pretty sure Bane's dead.
Bane should be dead. Like they're all be long.
Okay.
You can't have Darth Traya. You can't have Darth Nihilus. You can't have Darth Sion. Like it's all too recent. Like the show is too up to date to do that.
So, one more thing I want to talk about, if we're done talking about what we were, is because the thing is, we have to understand, for this to all kind of fit within the lore, is that they have to think that they took out the Sith. Because you have to remember, the Jedi Council in the prequels think that there's really no Sith around. The Sith are gone.
Oh, yeah. No,
so,
I know what you mean.
One thing that actually I was watching some people talking about it, and they brought up one of the book series I watched, which would make sense if they did something like so. In the Darth Bane books, when Darth Bane was being hunted down because the Jedi found out there were still Sith. As I said, in the book, there was the Jedi and the Sith. They fought each other. Darth Bane made sure it just wiped them all out. All the Sith and a big portion of the Jedi. The Jedi were still around, though. So Darth
Yes.
Bane did his he needed to have an apprentice. He got an apprentice. Eventually, someone found out that there were still Sith around. So in this circumstance, I don't remember the name of his apprentice, but what she did, because Darth Bane at the time was injured and he could not do anything. So pretty much there was a healer healing Darth Bane. So what his apprentice did is he made the guy that was helping him go insane and gave him the lightsaber, the Sith lightsaber. So when the Jedi found out where Bane, yeah, they pretty much gave him a Sith lightsaber, red lightsaber. So
lightsaber.
Light
Like I love
lightsaber.
They're great.
Lightsabers. He gave him a lightsaber. He went out to the Jedi who arrived to kill Bane and his so-called apprentice. He made him go out. They killed him, and they thought they killed the Jedi or killed the Sith. So the Sith were gone. So in that instance, they thought they took care of the Sith threat. Now the question is how are they going to do this to make the Council feel comfortable or make it feel like they did take care of the Sith threat? Now, as I said, in that kind of circumstance where they kind of trick the Jedi into thinking they did kill him, I'm curious to see if that's what they're going to do with it, because they have to do it in a way that makes it seem like the Sith were taken out and that the whole thing is a secret. I know someone that mentioned... Oh, yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, I don't think they have to.
They have to, though.
No, hold on. Because part of that whole thing is, like, because you're probably talking, like, with the whole in here. Even. Yeah. Like, that... Kiadi... Thousands of years. Like, even if they wipe all traces of Sith off the face of the planet, or, off the face of the fucking universe, for this matter, during this series, that doesn't change the timeline of the time, Like, even if they do this and get rid of it, like, Kiadi still would have lied then about the timeline of when all this took place. And I've been holding on to this because I don't know, unfortunately, the name of the YouTuber channel. Any of this does it. Yeah, folks, you might know what I'm talking about. Andre himself, no, but there's a gentleman who he does like AI to become characters. Like you always see all these clips of like Liam Neeson's Qui-Gon Jinn and Ewan McGregor's Obi-Wan Kenobi talking about scenes from Star Wars. And he like AIs to become both characters and speak like both characters during it. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I know what you're talking about. I have seen some of his stuff.
In one of the clips I saw here recently, it was talking about that scene. It was him watching moments from the Acolyte, and it was Qui-Gon being like, or it was Obi-Wan mentioning like, didn't you say that? Or didn't Master Kiadi say that there hasn't been Sith in thousands of years? And like they were just both in disbelief, and Qui-Gon was like, if that is the case, or I'm trying not to get angry right now, because if that's the case, one of my dearest friends lied to me and directly caused my death by not telling me the Sith existed. It's just this whole thing where it's like, that's not wrong, because this whole lie, whole reason, thinking that the universe is completely safe of Sith has been for quite some time. Exactly how Qui-Gon was able to let his guard down, be murdered, some degree.
Yeah. It's
so, again, it's a fun moment.
It's interesting. I think they should have they could have even done like they could have done like the same race as Kiadi-Mundi. They could have just made it some other guy that looks like just Kiadi-Mundi. Because I guarantee there probably has been Jedi.
I mean,
like Kiadi-Mundi. But it just sucks that they literally just picked him. And the only reason I guarantee they only picked him was because they're like, we got to have someone from the first episode.
I do think there's more story element or more story implication that delivered with it being specifically Kiadi. And plus, you don't want to say, oh, Kiadi's in this because he's an asshole, because he's like this, because he's this kind of person. You don't want to say that. That kind of gives away your own. That's why I'm hoping that a lot of these stories and stuff, or these interviews that they've done, as questionable as they might be, I'm hoping they didn't spoil their own fucking story with it. You know what I mean? Like, I want to hold out hope that with what they've got, the reason they've said almost what they said is to draw away from like what is to come. And folks, we are over time currently.
Yeah, we are. We are way over time. But yeah, this is a...
Not way, but
It's been a very interesting episode. Good things from it, bad ones, interesting shots. Interesting camera shots, interesting character development. A couple stars are showing through this. I don't know how to say what the series is. I don't want to say it's like a heap and pile of like poo. I don't think it is, but I think there are some interesting things happening in this series, but I do think the writing is hurting it really badly.
I don't know. Gotta give it time, Andre. Gotta give it time. Yeah.
I guess it comes down to the point where you need to explain some things. I understand what they're trying to do, but they're doing it in a way, like I said, like the material. They should have explained that. They should have given at least, like, even if it was just something small as just like mention it. It would make a big difference, because a lot of people, they're not going to know what that is. I didn't even know what that is until somebody mentioned it and they talked about it in the lore, and I'm like, oh, I didn't know what that material was.
Andre, I'm not saying that the writing is flawless. I'm saying we just got for the show as a whole. Like, yes, there's definitely a tweak, but we need to.
We'll see what happens in the next episode. Next 3 episodes. We'll see how it comes together. And
folks, of course, we'll be here next week, hopefully.
We'll be here next week. Monday?
What's the plan? What's the plan?
Monday?
Don't say it like that.
Well, I'm just thinking. I'm just trying to think if there's anything big going on. I don't think there's anything big going on Monday.
That's mainly a you thing.
I don't think so.
If
anything I have, it might be that I have a dentist appointment, but we'll still have the show just be a really quick episode. But I don't think it's next week. I think it's the following week.
I was going to say, there might be a complication, not next week, following Monday, but I'll get to that.
Yeah, but we'll be back with episode
6.
6, yeah.
Next week.
Episode 6 next week, which hopefully we'll get more clarification on what happened, because that's really what's going to drive everything forward, drive the character May and Osha. Or it might just be kind of a episode where a filler episode in a way.
Yep, we'll see.
We'll see what happens. But thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed. And we'll see you guys next time on Monday again for more Acolyte. I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.